In today's episode, make do. Okay, I will. The $15,000 equipment is too expensive for your department to purchase. Why don't you just rent it for $48,000 a year? Treat all prank calls as though they're serious? Sure, have fun making 180 extra large pizzas. So let's get started. Make do. Okay, I will. The names of this story are fabricated. A few years back I wanted a change of scenery in terms of my job. I was working at a housing agency, but somehow just lost interest by the end. I had always had a passion for wine on a personal level, and I felt like taking the jump into the business side of it. I got a scheduled interview at a gourmet shop with a great wine selection, and where I had shopped previously. I was greeted by the newly hired manager who, for a lack of better words, looked like a military sergeant. Buzzcut and a dead serious look in his eyes. I'll refer to him as boss. He seemed truly friendly and was witty enough through the interview. He did however mention that I would be taking over after an employee he had personally fired, who had worked there 7 years. I found that odd, but ended taking the job because of my passion. My first shift, I was assigned to the guy whose job I had taken. It was odd as hell. He was, however, rather cool about it. I will refer to him as Ben. Ben showed me the ropes and taught me a few good things. To this day, I swing by his new employment and buy some wine on his recommendation. On his last day, he told me to be wary of boss and look out for myself. It caught me a bit off guard as I hadn't really caught any red flags, besides Ben's firing, that is. As time went on, it became quite clear what he meant. Ben wasn't the only one he had fired. In fact, during the 6 months boss had been there, he had fired 15 people, varying from cashiers to kitchen staff. I found out more than 5 people in addition to that, had quit in that time. Boss routine became clear too. He would lure you in, be charming and charismatic, even give you a small gift after your first few weeks. As soon as you're settled in, his demeanor changes. It went from heaven to hell during my first year. He would micromanage, to the point he would skip his own meetings, just to circle the store and complain about people's work. He was convinced that everyone would omit from doing their job if he didn't keep watch. Just over my first year in, I am pretty drained. I love the job itself and the coworkers are nice, but the boss is a living, walking psychopath. As time went on, his wording and his demeanor became more and more sinister. He would at times stalk me whenever I went from the store into our storage to ask, "What are you doing in here?" My answer always remained the same. Doing my job, what else? Fast forward a few months and I am at rock bottom. I hate getting up in the morning, I hate going to work, and I hate my boss. One day I encounter the same issue I've done every day for months. I go into storage to place an order on the computer. He marches in and asks me what I am doing. I reply with a question, "What do you think I am doing?" He goes livid. He yells and shouts as I tell him he shouldn't talk to me that way, as calmly as I could, but honestly, I was shook by him. His response? "If you don't F-king like it, find another job, UFCK." And so, that's exactly what I set out to do. In the meantime, I did call HR and announced that I was struck with stress due to workplace environment issues. I spent a week at home as I tried to regain my thoughts, my energy, and in general some peace and quiet. I also lined up 2 job interviews by the end of the week. HR calls, say they want to resolve everything. They more or less admit, off the record, that boss is a special person to be around. They admit that I am not the first nor even the 5th case. They give me a possibility of staying on for another month, which suits me perfectly if I land a job elsewhere. Here comes the kicker. The company had a bakery shop elsewhere that they needed to close, but still had a rental contract on. They wanted someone to run a pop-up wine shop there. I would get away from boss, and I was happy with that. The boss, however, had shipped out a ton of shitty wine without even asking my opinion on the stock or taking the size of the store into consideration. It was a clutter to say the least. On the second week there, I get a call about one of the interviews I had been to. I landed the job. I was pretty stoked and looking forward to getting away from here. In the final week, still plenty of shitty wine stacked up in the store. I am thinking about just how the all of this is gonna get moved out of here. Boss calls me up Tuesday, says that he'll send some quarter pallets and stretch wrap and everything has to be ready to go by Friday. He doesn't send this before late Wednesday, and to make matters worse, he sends me a roll of stretch wrap and by my count, too few pallets. I call him back, tell him I need 2 more rolls of wrap and some pallets, in which he proceeds to tell me to make do. I did call someone else at the store to try and make them send another stretch wrap. I never did get one, so I guess boss intercepted that plea as well. Time for MC. I spend all Thursday accommodating customers while zipping around packing pallet after pallet. One stacked quite alarmingly higher than the other while one is filmed with an even less layer than the one before. Even a blind person could see just how poor of a job all of this was. 43 quarter pallets to be exact. One even shittier stacked and filmed than the next. Oh, I made do. A truck pulls up out back Friday, and I keep hauling pallet after pallet out. The 2 guys assigned do not look pleased whatsoever. They can see just how hazardous this shitload is gonna be to drive with. They still manage to load it up without much hassle, but not without taking their time balancing every other pallet. I am pretty much in disbelief they even accepted to haul it at all. My shift and thus my job ends almost to the minute that they are done loading. I lock the place up, hand the keys to one of the guys and head off into the sunset as I pleasantly await a call from my former boss. An hour creeps by and my phone rings. Boss is screaming and shouting at the other end about dozens upon dozens of shattered bottles and wine everywhere in the truck and on their loading bay, and what the was I even doing? I told him that I made do as I ended the call. The $15,000 equipment is too expensive for your department to purchase. Why don't you just rent it for $48,000 a year? Back in the days when 33.6 kbps modems were hot shit, I worked for the engineering department of a growing company. This company had started small. It was privately owned, and the VPs had all put in a portion of their own money to start the company. By this time in the story, they were finally making a respectable 30 to 40 million a year in profits. But they still acted like a small company. Penny pinching. Our engineering department was designing circuit boards with embedded computer systems. And to program these, instead of soldering the microcomputer to the board, we would solder on a microcontroller socket, and then plug in an in-circuit emulator that would pretend it was a microcontroller, and allow the programmer to create the required program. This in-circuit emulator, or ICE, was made by Hitachi. It plugged into a free PCI slot on your PC, and had a ribbon cable that would attach to the specialized microcontroller die that plugged into the socket. It was a mess. It gave our tiny IT department headaches. And it cost $15,000. And it was an absolute necessity for most of our most popular product lines. And there was only one of them. And we were renting it. It cost $4,000 a month. The first month we had it, our CTO and marketing VP planned our whole new product line around this family of microcontrollers. So, at the end of the month, us engineers asked management to buy this for us, since we would be using it for a while. The engineering VP saw the price tag and told us to just rent it. Surely we would be done with it soon. Engineers, being practical, forgot about the objection and just put our noses to the wheel. The CTO and marketing made plans to keep us busy using this microcontroller line for a while. They pre-ordered a few million chips. After a year, the VP of Finance asked about this recurring contract line item. They called the engineer who had originally started the contract. The engineer helpfully forwarded the approval from the engineering VP, and his later email asking to buy it, and the VP's reply where he demurred. By the end of the week, this toy was ours. Along with a second one, since finance determined that product rollout was being affected by not enough access to the equipment. Hitachi just gave us the first one, stopped charging us, and never asked for it back. We paid $15,000 for a second one. No one got fired or demoted. But at the next department meeting, the engineering VP tried to tell us that we didn't have enough money to upgrade our PCs. That one engineer spoke up. Would $40,000 cover it? The company found the money. Treat all prank calls as though they're serious? Sure, have fun making 180 extra large pizzas. I work in a major pizza delivery chain that has so far been unsuccessful in out-pizzaing the Hut. Our store is in a college town, and everyone is bored as hell right now for obvious reasons. So we've gone from maybe one prank call a day to at least 3 to 5. Which isn't much, but still really annoying with how much more business we've been getting, again for obvious reasons. The worst part is how uncreative and low effort most of them are. At least 80% of them are "Can I get a boneless pizza?" or "Is this the Krusty Krab?" with the occasional insert GTA fast food order copy pasta here. This had been going on way too long, so I took up the habit of just hanging up whenever someone starts saying some stupid shit. The boss wasn't too happy about this, but didn't care enough to say anything until an incident where I hung up on someone who wanted that boneless pizza, and he called back pissed because he actually wanted to order. So I get a stern talking to from boss man, and he sends a message to the company's group chat app saying, "I know we've been getting more prank calls than usual, but please don't follow in certain people's footsteps and just hang up on them. Take the calls as seriously as possible. If they order something we can't make, calmly explain it to them and offer them something we do actually sell. We want to try to make money off of them even if they're acting dumb." So the very next call is where the fun starts. "Thank you for calling, what can I get you? I'm so hungry, can I get an extra large pizza with triple every topping?" "I'm sorry ma'am, we can only go up to one extra and double each topping." Okay then. "Can I get 20 XLs of each meat y'all have? So like 20 pepperoni, 20 sausage, etc." These people are obviously high as hell and giggling in the background the whole time. "Sure, give me a sec to ring it all up." Okay, so that's 180 pizzas, the total will be $1,000, don't remember the actual price, but close enough, and it'll take about 3 hours. Awesome, thanks. We'll pay with a check when we get their dial tone. So I place the order, and not 30 seconds later I hear what the actual F***CK from the boss, and he runs to the computer. "How are they paying for this?" he asks me. They said with a check. We do still take checks for orders over $200, right? They can't have been serious. Was this a prank call? Not sure boss, you said take all calls seriously. He just grumbles and picks up the phone and calls the customer, and all I hear is super loud laughter as he hangs up. Meanwhile, other employees have started actually making the ridiculous order, not noticing anything weird about it. So by the time the boss finishes the call and cancels the order on the computer, there are already 5 XL pepperoni pizzas in the oven. So we got free dinner for everyone working that night, as well as another message in the group chat app simply saying, in regards to my last message, please just use good judgment when taking orders. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.